Okay, I am separating milkweed seed today, and I don't know if I have any pods that are still kind of on the green side. If you pick these before the pod starts to split, I would say where I'm at, I'm near Denver. If you do that, let's see, that would have had to have been in like early September, for example. If you pick them at that time and separate the seed, you can actually grab this silky stuff inside the milkweed. Here it is. And really easily separate these seeds. And the seeds are mature enough at that point that you can get away with it. I can try to do a little bit here. The longer you wait, the harder it is to do. I'm just going to move my camera over here. This is my work bowl. Let's see here. Just pull that out. There we go. So I can just separate these seeds from the fluff if I do it early enough. This is a little bit on the late side, so it's not as easy as it would have been if I had done it earlier, but it's not too bad. So after you get all fluff, get all these seeds off of here. If it's looking mostly pretty good, what I do is I put the fluff in my palm and I roll it, because this stuff blows everywhere. You'll have it all over. I'm in my kitchen, you'll have it everywhere. And if you do it outside, it will just start blowing away. So if you want to save your fluff for any other purposes, you definitely need to be doing it inside. So you just end up with little balls like this. And I have my other bowl here that's got finished fluff in it. Okay, it's very soft. It does have a lot of uses, so this year I'm going to try to do better and figure out something special to do with my milkweed fluff. And over here I have my finished seed. So let's say you're like me and you procrastinated and you need to separate some seed, some milkweed seed from your pods. First of all, know that there is a guy on YouTube, and I really plan on doing this, that has made a device. I think you have to make it yourself. He has plans on how to do it, but it's almost like a butter churn, and it has these sort of nails poking out inside, and you spin it and it separates your seed from your fluff. But I didn't get that done this year, but I still have to separate this. So, you know, you might think you want to store it in these pods, but these will dry out and burst open, and I have found it easier to separate this stuff if you can get to it, unless you're going to plant it right away. I mean, if you're going to plant it, you could always take this pod outside into an area where you want to plant it and kind of just scatter this stuff out right in the ground, mash it into the ground and leave it alone. It will be very small the first year. You know, you can't expect flowers the first year. The second year, it might be more like in the 1 to 2 foot range. You might get a flower off of it, but it really won't come into its own until the 3rd season. So just know that if you do it, it's worth planting it, but you also need to know that if you don't mark it, you might accidentally weed it out. So let's say you have a bowl, like I do, of all these pods that you want to separate. If you're planning on sending seed to like a monarch society to help monarchs, they require you to separate it. So one way I do that is, you know, let's say I were to take some of this fluff out in a bowl. Let's say I need a packet of seeds right now. I'm gonna gift some to somebody, and they're the type of person that I don't want to give a pod to. There may be somebody that I want like a nice pack of seeds for. If you want to do this quickly, you can get a bowl like I have. Here's my work bowl, here's my pod bowl, here's my seeds, and this is fluff from, you know, half to 1 pod. It's fine to do a whole pod at once. In fact, let me take this seed out of here because this is already clean. I don't want to make more work for myself. Let's say you have this pod that you're wanting to separate, and it's, especially when they're very exploded, like these aren't fully exploded yet, but when they're really popped open, this is a very handy method to have to separate these. So here's my pod. I'm going to set that aside, and then I have all this fluff in this bowl. So what I do is I get a handful of fluff and I just start rolling. and you'll hear kind of the seeds dropping down in the bowl below. So I roll, and then I use my thumbs just to separate the fluff a bit to liberate all the seeds. And I keep rolling and using my thumbs to spread it out. Roll, 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 okay? So here's my fluff. That goes into my bowl of fluff for later. I have a little bit more here, so I'm gonna gather it up. If in doubt, start rolling this stuff. It makes it a lot easier. It prevents it from escaping. It kind of tangles into itself and stays in one place. I have all these clean seeds though. I'm just gonna pour those out while I can. And then I've got this bit here. I'm gonna roll and sort of massage this bit a bit and roll. So this is one way to do it, and I'm going to show you another way to do it if you have a little bit more time. Meaning not hands-on time, but let's say you want to have less hands-on time, but you have time to let these seeds separate themselves using gravity. Okay, so here's some seed. So that's one way I do it. The other way involves a plastic bag. You want to make sure there's no tears or holes in it, and you want to make sure it's pretty big, and it's also very handy if it is clear, if you can see through it. It makes it easier to retrieve your seed later because you can see where it's at. So I already have some here. What you can do is take a pod, and you know, if you're doing this with kids, this is probably the best method because you're not going to have as much fluff floating around most likely. So inside this bag, I'm taking apart the pod. Here's that center part, and I'm just taking all the fluff and all the seed out of the pod. These pods that I have are still a little bit moist. In fact, I had them inside of a plastic bag for a couple of days, and they are, you know, they're a little bit black. That's actually, it was starting to already get some mildew on it. If you leave them in there very long without moisture, they will mildew. So I'm just gonna put another one in here. Here's one that's already started exploding. I really do my best to get these seeds before the pod explodes completely. Once it explodes, as soon as you touch it, when it's on the plant, those seeds will just fly off in all directions. And while I'm a big fan of milkweed, I don't like it to fly into the flower beds where I have other things growing because it does tend to take over. And I also don't like it to go in my neighbor's yard because not everybody wants milkweed, even though I think they should have it. It's not really for me to say. And you know, if it grows and they're the type of people that spray, they're gonna spray the yard. I could possibly have drift back into my yard and it will affect my bees and butterflies. So I try to make sure that I get the pods before they explode and make a kind of a mess in my yard and in other people's yards. I am fine giving seed away to my neighbors if they want some, and I think most of my neighbors know that, but I don't want to force it upon anybody. That's not a good way to help pollinators if they're spraying over there to get rid of something they don't want. It's not a good way to make friends with your neighbors either, to give them something they don't want. So here's the thing, when you get a bag full of seed like this, you can actually just leave it like this. That seed will eventually separate from the fluff and kind of gather down here in the bottom of the bag, and you'll be able, oh look, it's already doing that, if you can see there. A lot of this is still attached to milk or to the fuzz though, but over time it separates from the fuzz and you end up with a nice big blob of, you know, clean seed down here that you can easily get out. One other thing that you can do just to make it a little bit easier is to reach your hands in there and start rubbing the fuzz together in little balls. That'll help to detach the seed for one, but it'll also help, like, you know, this seed is going to continue to, or the fluff is going to continue to expand outward. And if you don't kind of ball it up now, when you go to open this bag later, it's kind of gonna poof, and you're gonna have little bits of milkweed fuzz floating around your house. So if you can ball it up now, you know, it doesn't have to be crazy, but just something that holds together, you're gonna have less of that stuff floating around your house. So I'm just gonna do one more little bit here. So what I would do is probably, you know, ball a lot of this up and leave the bag just a tiny bit open, just for some air circulation, just in case it's not completely dry. I wouldn't leave it completely open or you're likely to have fuzz all over your house. Just leave it a little bit open. And the next time you need some clean seed, you should have plenty of it down in the bottom of this bag. You know, just hang it in a closet or something out of the way so it's not, you know, in your face every day if you don't want to look at it. So kind of looks like this. I have this ball here. And then over time you'll see this will all separate down here. Uh-oh, somehow I have a little hole here. I'll have to tape that over. All this seed will come down here. You can see it already. And you'll have clean seed that you can separate and package up to sell, or package up as gifts, or just for storage. Okay, hopefully that helps. Bye.